Welcome back, guys. This is episode 6 of our Walking Dead TV series review from season 3, and this episode was called Hounded. This was a pretty good episode in totality. It was kind of more of a building block episode, setting the grounds for next episode, which looks like it's gonna be really good. So I'm looking forward to that. But this episode on itself was an entertaining episode, and I'm looking forward to the next couple episodes. This episode really focused on Merle and Michonne primarily. Andrea got quite a bit of screen time, and Rick, I guess you could say, were the main focus of this episode. So let's get right into it now. We gotta start off with Michonne getting a really cool whole sequence there with her doing her go back, as you can see in this picture with the body and the limbs. That's pretty crazy. Michonne is one of the most skilled, if not the most skilled, character, I guess you could say, in the entire series. Merle's pretty skilled too, but even from this episode, you can see Michonne is she's way ahead of Merle. Like, she's got the jump on him all the time. But Merle's pretty savvy too, though, so don't count him out. But in the end, I think if it ever came down to a fight between these two of them, Michonne would for sure win. But yeah, Michonne's got mad skills. Okay, so that go back thing was pretty cool. I'll give them that. That was pretty cool. Of course, Merle doesn't go back though. I really liked the guy that the other guy they introduced. Those 3 partners that were going with Merle. You knew they were completely expendable right from the start, and they were. I was really well. I'll get into that at the time. So Rick is getting some phone calls, and as soon as I heard this phone call, I was like, "That voice is really hot." You know, it's just the voice of a young, attractive girl, and you're like, man, that's a nice voice. So I was like, at this point, I was like wondering where in the world these people could be hiding that was so safe. I was thinking maybe it was like, I thought for a second it might have been Woodbury pretending to be a safe spot, which they are a safe spot, I guess you could say, but they're kind of extremist in a lot of ways. So that was interesting. And yeah, so that's that. And I was wondering if it was a third location that was going to be introduced, but ultimately it didn't turn out to be that, because it turned out he was just hallucinating, which I thought was particularly interesting because at a certain point you start to wonder, like, especially when Herschel came in there and was like, you know, you could see it in his face that he was doubting whether or not Rick was actually, you know, seeing, like, if this was for real, if he was just hallucinating. And you see Herschel pick up the phone, and at that moment I was like, okay, Herschel's just gonna say, like, it doesn't have a dial tone, Rick, you're imagining this. But Herschel just puts it down, and I assume from that scene you can assume that there is a dial tone. But in the end you find out, no, there actually wasn't a dial tone, and Rick's just imagining this whole thing, which is a really cool shot because it basically shows that Herschel, although he didn't lie to Rick, but he's just like, yeah, there's no dial tone, and this guy's crazy, but I'll just let him deal with his stuff for a little longer before we actually move on. Let's get you guys a new picture here. Keep you guys entertained. Yeah, the reason why I once again have so many pictures is because I'm like 20 hours late on uploading this because, well, maybe not quite that much, maybe 18 hours, because I've just been busy with school and stuff. So here's Merle again. Merle, yeah, had a really quite the episode. He was calling the guy Neil. That's what he was calling. And he ends up shooting Neil in the face because Neil wanted to be honest to the governor, and I really hated that. And at that moment I was like, I hate you, Merle. You're just, like, he's so hateable. Like, in this episode, I think we really saw, like, it was kind of like a reflection of the first season in which you were like, man, I hate you so much, Merle. And in this episode, I think it revealed his true character and his true brutality. And this guy, this was his episode. It really was, all the way through. The whole episode focused around him hunting down Michonne. And really just him in general. Andrea and the governor have a very awkward romance, and then they decide they're just going to start hooking up. I guess that's what you do in that situation. I don't know. The governor is really cool. I don't blame Andrea, but my problem with Woodbury right now is it's like we have there's I forget like 70 people living in the town, but we've only met we met someone on the wall today, which we'll talk about in a sec, and we met some girl at the start with black hair. We met Andrea Michonne and the governor and the scientist. So we've met like 6 to 8 people maybe in the entire establishment, and there's just a feeling where like Andrea and the governor are in their own little world, and the rest of the town is just backdrop, and it doesn't matter. Like, they have no opinion. They're just living happily in society. And I wish that there was more time to go into their relationships inside the town, but there just doesn't seem to be that they don't. Or at least that wasn't prioritized anyway in the script. Moving on. Yeah, Rick's phone call was really interesting, but in the end it was a hallucination. So, although the entire content of the hallucination, except for maybe the last part where he's what's the word I'm looking for? He's like reconciling himself with Lori in a way, although she's dead and he was a really bad husband, so it's never going to be reconciled in a sense. So that was interesting. Let's talk about I've been looking for Lily Call this entire season, as you know, if you've watched the previous 5 episode reviews. And this time, it looked like we found her. Like, I was like, as soon as I saw her on the wall, I was like, Lily Call on the wall. But then she's like talking, she got the crossbow, and I'm like, she's a baller. Like, this is Lily Call. She's a little younger than I thought she was going to be, but then she goes to use the crossbow, and she can't shoot. She can't shoot the weapon. She shot off the shoulder. The bullets weren't even going that fast. It was like, it makes me wonder if I don't think she ever killed her father or her brother. Lies. I think the only people propping this town up, although it's kind of confusing because on one hand, Lily was, if that was Lily, I'm just calling her Lily for now because I need a Lily. In one hand, Lily, she was so bad at clearing, like, this zombie was in broad daylight, like 15, maybe 30 feet from her, okay, and she couldn't hit him. But then we saw earlier when Michonne and Andrea first get to Woodbury, those guys with the guns on the wall, I think it was at nighttime, they were picking them off with guns. So I don't know why Lily's on the wall if she can't shoot. I don't understand that concept. I don't know if that's a reflection of the wall defense in general, and if it is, then it's contradictory to what we saw earlier with the gun people shooting on the wall, which we haven't seen again. So that's kind of interesting. Those must have been the military guys, and Lily is just like a citizen who's been posted there, who's like volunteering, and she doesn't know what she's doing. So, yeah, I would like to see, I don't know, like, I want that to be Lily, but then she can't shoot, and that's basically a requirement of Lily. I did like how Lily, this apparent Lily, got mad at Andrea, because that was kind of like a Lily-esque moment. And also just the whole talk with her father, and her father, it just was like, her father seemed military, which is, I believe in the comics she's military. In the game, Lily's dad is definitely military. And she herself is actually military, so she, yeah, until she started shooting, I was like, oh, it's her. Oh, man, am I missing? Guys, 8 minutes on 2 slides, I'm so sorry. Okay, we're going to start talking about the rest of it now. Bam! Michonne had a very interesting episode. Of course, she gets those zombie guts splattered all over herself, and she is now somewhat immune to the walker thing. It was really cool, actually. Let's just skip to this scene, because this is probably, as far as my slides are concerned, this is the bulk of the pictures posted on AMCTV.com. So we got Glenn and Maggie going to get some more resources, and things don't go well. Because, well, Michonne shows up at the start, but they don't know it yet. She's just watching them. You know this. You watched the episode, so I don't know why I'm telling you this story. But let's just start analyzing this situation, okay? Merle shows up here, bloody screaming, carrying his coat, and I don't know why it was. I don't know. Like, he was pretty nuts. He's pretty nuts. I think they should have shot him on sight. It would have been bad, but it's what he deserves. Like, this man is evil. Glenn should have shot him on sight. And as you can see, bam! They got guns ready. Now, what I don't really understand here is how this situation here went to this. Because it happened, like, in, like, the way they shot the scene, there was really no explanation as to how Merle disarmed Maggie without, I don't even know if a shot was fired. I think Merle did shoot a shot, actually, because he blew out the back of the van here. So that was interesting, but it was kind of contradictory scene because we'd seen so much of Maggie and Glenn being so skilled at taking out walkers. I guess that taking out a human is something different, but it's still, they just were so easily dismantled by this foe that it was ridiculous. And now they're in serious trouble. And why this is even more significant is because this is going to be a huge conflict of interest between basically Andrea and the governor. Because on one hand, Andrea's found this new life, but on the other hand, she does have that relationship with the old group. Despite the fact that she thinks she was abandoned, she wasn't. And we all know Andrea is a good character. I'm pretty sure she's a good character. Like, and the governor's a bad character. Like, let's be realistic here. Andrea's going to be a good character in the end. I'm pretty sure, unless they do some twist on the end. But Andrea is going to be left choosing between the governor or Maggie and Glenn, essentially. And Maggie and Glenn, if you watch the next preview, are getting tortured to some degree because they don't know. And the worst part is, like, they're in such a bad spot. Anytime you capture a boyfriend-girlfriend, you just pick on one or the other until, just like in 1984, like, you're just like, I give in. I can't handle it. So they're in big trouble now because they got disarmed so badly. Had they shot Merle on sight, it would have been a lot better, but they didn't. So now we've got an even bigger situation on our hands. I thought Michonne was going to come to the rescue too in that scene, but unfortunately she didn't. I thought she was going to sneak up behind Merle when he was sitting down here, like you see in this shot, and stab him right in the back. I mean, in the back of the head, but that did not happen. And I think if you look at these shots, like, this is, like, I think this is actually how they shot it on the day. Like, they just took a picture, like, they have a cameraman just taking pictures, and then they changed the lighting after to make it look really dark, which is interesting. It's very interesting because these are, especially this next picture, which you'll see soon, is very interesting. Anything else I want to say on this situation? Just crossing off some stuff. Okay, yeah, I talked about that. Okay, we only got a couple more things to talk about, so we're going to cover that. Here comes. See, this scene here, you can see the lighting is, like, perfectly bright. Like, there's like, lights all up in there. But in the show, there's really no lights. So that's interesting to consider. Okay, next point. Let's talk about this storyline. I'm glad that, oh no, I forgot his name. I forgot this guy's name. The black guy's name, I forgot what his name was. Anyway, him, Daryl, and Carl's still rocking the amazing silencer gun. They took out some zombies, and they had some nice talks about Carl's mom and Daryl's mom situation. So that was nice. Carl is a real boss now. Okay, so moving on, let's just get right to the chase. Daryl here is lamenting the fact that he's lost Carol, and lo and behold, I actually didn't think it was that cheesy when I saw it, but Carol's actually in the cell right across from him, and I'm not sure why the door kept opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing. I think it was, I don't know why, because I guess Carol just got malnourished and sat down in a spot where because she was trapped and was unarmed, and then she just sat there. But, like, yeah, I don't really understand why she didn't call out for help earlier or when she heard them. I don't know. Anyway, miraculously, threw a Lee on the end of that, Daryl rescues Carol. So that was a really cool shot. And then the really cool shot, too, which I didn't quite do, but it had Rick coming out of the caged environment with carrying his baby. And then it also, what I thought should have had on the other side, like, I thought they were going to have Carol being carried out by Daryl down the steps, and they meet in the middle, like coming from both sides, like shloop and shloop. It would have been really cool, but they didn't quite do that. So I was kind of disappointed in that. But it was a really cool shot just with Daryl carrying Carol. Daryl and Carol and Carl, man. These names are... It's hard to say these names right when you've got to draw that instantly and you got to remember, I don't know, 15 or 16 names. You can't make a mistake because you're only doing one recording of this, you know. So, and then the final thing for this episode was actually probably one of the more interesting endings is Michonne meets Rick. And I'm actually really looking forward to this because Michonne adds a super talented member to this group. If we consider here the number of skilled people in the group, why don't we just like do that right now? We're gonna do that right now. We are gonna do a list of people who are skilled in the group. Okay, skilled people, non-skilled people. This is for the prison group. We've got Beth's not very skilled. Herschel's useless. Realistically, like I'm talking if they ever got invaded, which it looks like they're coming closer and closer to getting invaded. Rick is obviously useful. I'm not sure how useful Carol is. Daryl's definitely useful. I think that whoopsies. Carl's useful. Who else is useful in this group? The black guy. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. I'm really sorry. I'm not trying to be racist at all. I don't know what his name is. And that white guy, who I also don't remember the name of. So, it goes both ways. They just don't get any... No one says their name on television. How am I supposed to know their name? Beth, Herschel. Carol's kind of useless right now, but she'll be back... Carol's clearly not useless, actually. She's gained more experience now. Michonne. They're starting to look like a well-rounded group here. Lori was useless for a while there, but now she's completely dead, so that's no longer any concern. What else? Anyone else to be added to this list of people? Let me think. Oh, Glenn and Maggie, who are now not with them, but they're skilled too. So they have a skilled group. The problem that's holding them back is Herschel, but at least he's only one group. So this group's actually better than I thought it was, honestly, in this review of the group. And Maggie. I forgot to put Maggie's name. So that's that, guys. That's a skilled group and the non-skilled group. If there's anything else you want to talk about in the comments, start it up down there. If you liked the video, you could give her a like for me because, you know, I like that. It puts a smile on my face. And thanks for watching, guys. And have a good one. And hopefully next week I'll have them up a little earlier. This might be a busy week for uploading videos. I might be starting my Need for Speed Carbon let's play walkthrough. That's a let's play. I'm not doing a walkthrough. It's a let's play. I'm not walking through it. I don't know how to walk through things. It's a let's play, and I will be doing hopefully be doing Walking Dead video game because I still have to finish uploading episode 2 and episode 3 and 4. I have to play and record and upload still. And episode 5 is coming out, I believe, on the 21st. Or 20th. 20th, I think, for PS3. And then 21st for PC and everything else. Maybe not tablets, because tablets get screwed. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. And have a good one.